Do not speak of inner suffering. Xiefeng. February 29, 2024. All beings suffer, who is without suffering? Food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, old age, sickness, and death are all sources of suffering. Suffering from life, old age, sickness, death, suffering from love and separation, suffering from resentment and hatred, suffering from unfulfilled desires, suffering from the burning of the 5 aggregates, and then there is the suffering of mortgage and car loan, the suffering of reluctance, and the suffering of, though there is surplus of wealth and power, it's hard to maintain a stable life, the elderly are often easily moved, and the autumn rain is hard to clear, it's often easy to start things but hard to accomplish them. It can be said, the whole family's suffering is hard to express, the sadness is heartbreaking. Everyone has suffering in their hearts. If you internalize the suffering, people will become strong, clear, rational, and open-minded. Once you tell people about your inner suffering everywhere, people will become weak, confused, willful, and pitiful. There is a phenomenon worth thinking about, that is, in human history, those who have achieved something are mostly not complainers, and the more people live at the bottom of society, the more complainers. In fact, the real situation is that the more successful people are, the more suffering they have in their hearts, but they never complain to others. The boss's suffering is actually more and more complicated than the worker's suffering, the president's suffering is more and more complicated than the common people's suffering, but the boss and the president do not complain. Suffering is a seed, if you suppress it in your heart, it cannot grow and sprout, once you say it, it begins to sprout and grow, and you can no longer control it. Everyone has this kind of experience. Once you speak out the suffering in your heart, you will feel a little more relaxed, a little more comfortable, but then, the listener will start to feel uncomfortable. This is called the transfer of suffering, meaning that you transfer your own suffering to others, although the suffering is transferred out, but there is a sequelae, that is, the complainer becomes a suffering plague, source in the eyes and hearts of others. Suffering plague is similar to the nature of the plague. People will avoid you in the future, so, your days will become more and more bitter. So, if you have suffering in your heart, bear it, don't ever speak out. As long as you don't speak out, you are a strong person, people will be willing to interact with you. Once you speak out, it signifies that you are a weak person, people will not want to interact with you. If you suffer for a long time, you will get sick, your body will get sick, your spirit and soul will also get sick, so you have to internalize the suffering in your heart. There are 3 ways to internalize. One is to learn to be grateful, another is to actively and optimistically do things, the last one is to seek help from experts. For example, if you have spiritual suffering, then go to a psychiatrist. If you have psychological suffering, then go to a psychologist. If you have physiological suffering, then go to a physician. There is no need to tell people who are not experts, because even if you say it, it's useless. Since it's useless, why bother to say it? In summary, the more you complain about suffering, the more you suffer, and in the end, you will complain yourself into a dead end. Sweetness symbolizes heaven, suffering symbolizes hell. People all want to move towards heaven, no one wants to move towards a person who often complains to others.